Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to start a reading vlog, and the theme of this reading vlog is that I wanted to read 3 of my most anticipated June 1st releases, because this is definitely a fantastic release day. I have actually 5 books that are coming out today that I really want to read, but I chose 3 for this vlog. Now let me talk you through the books. So the first book that I want to read during this vlog is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo, and this is a Gatsby retelling, and I'm so excited for this book. I just bought the audiobook. No, that's wrong. I bought the ebook. That's so weird to say because I don't know when I have read an ebook before. Like, it's been years and years. I'm not a big ebook reader, but the thing is that I live in Germany and it's very hard here to get new releases, and usually you can only get new releases like month after they came out, especially since the Brexit happened. That has really worsened things. So I got the ebook and I will try to do this with the ebooks. We'll see how it goes. This is an experiment. But that is the first book that I have gotten and that I will talk to you about. The next book on my list is Ace of Spades. This is a dark academia kind of thriller. I'm very excited for that, and yeah, I'll talk more about it when I get to it. And then the last book I have chosen is The Other Black Girl, which is, I think, also a thriller, but it takes place in the publishing world. And yeah, I'm very excited for all 3 of these, and I hope that this vlog will see the light of day, because that actually means that I get my super old e-reader to work. Yeah, I'll just keep you updated. I'm so excited about this. So I have finished the first 3 chapters in The Chosen and the Beautiful. And I had heard before that it is a very close adaptation of Gatsby and that some people expected it to be more of, its own story. But so far I am absolutely loving it. It's giving me all the Gatsby vibes, and even though some things are very clearly the same, like things people say, I just love it. I do love the Gatsby movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'll definitely watch that when I'm done with the book. But it was just the right thing to pick up today. I'm just so happy right now. This book makes me so happy, and it's just beautiful. It really is just beautiful.
So far, today is the second to last day of the fundraiser. It stops tomorrow. It's the last day. So today is like the last day to come by if you want to hang out, but also tomorrow we're going to go back.
So I have read the next 3 chapters of The Chosen and the Beautiful. Those 3 chapters were a little bit more of its own story because we're basically past the first parts where Jordan is very present in the original story, and now we learn a little bit about the background and also what she's doing when she's not in the main story. And I really liked that there was this kind of hint to it where the text basically said something like, well, if you look at it from afar, you would think that her whole summer was spent at Daisy's and at Gatsby's parties, but that's actually not the case, something like that. And I thought that was so funny to add that in, because yeah, if you only read the original story, it feels like that. But obviously, Jordan is also a famous golf player and stuff, so yeah, she has a life of her own, and I love hearing about that. We also learn more about her relationship with Nick, and we learn more about her family background. So I'm still enjoying this book a lot, and I just can't wait to keep reading it. So I have now read up to chapter 10 in The Chosen and the Beautiful. Last night I read the last 3 chapters of that, and the cat is starting to make a fuss right next to me. She does it when I talk. You want to see her? Are you having a great old time? I love you, baby, huh? So, in these last 3 chapters, I think that the magic of the world, I don't want to call it like a magic system because you can't really see a system behind it, but the magic is portrayed a little bit more, and I think you can understand it. You can probably understand it a little bit better. I really like the way that this one kind of club was described. I forgot the name. It was something that I had no idea how to say out loud anyway. But it's basically like this magical speakeasy kind of club. And it is for queer people. So also the queerness of the characters got into play a little bit more in these last chapters. And I just felt like, you know, it was kind of a diversion from the original plot, which is very refreshing, you know. You're not reading this book to get a one-on-one retelling of the Great Gatsby. What I'm not so sure about is the way that Gatsby is described. He's much more sinister and obscure than in the original texts, and I do see the intention behind that, because obviously you could say that he's in love and that's very romantic, but it's not really. Like, he has been gone for years, and the love he has for Daisy is the love for, like, not a real person, you know? And so that was very interesting, the way that this is kind of captured with him being more driven, I guess. But yeah, it also creates a bit of a different character than I always saw in Gatsby. But yeah, it's just very interesting. And I also like the magic because it involves like some kind of like a demon thing, but I still can't quite tell what the message is. But basically, they had the prohibition, so alcohol wasn't allowed. But in this retelling, there's also this kind of like demonic drink that is, you know, similar to alcohol, but just a bit more. And so it's actually forbidden. And yeah, I think it's very interesting that they added this layer of this like demonic drink to that, and the way it is described and the way it makes you feel and stuff like that. So I would love to see more about that because it is quite vague, and I'm pretty sure it will stay that way. And also, like, there is this kind of like magic, like it's not really described because, like, for example, Gatsby can simply do things, and it's intriguing, but at the same time I don't quite understand what the magic is. Like, can he just make people look away, or I don't know. But it's very intriguing, and I'm very excited to keep reading, and I hope that I will finish this book this weekend for sure, so we can get into the next one of my like most anticipated June 1st releases. Okay, so I just finished chapter 10, and in that chapter we get a very intriguing insight into Jordan's magic, and at the same time into Daisy's mind. And I really liked that chapter. It was so, yeah, it was just so intriguing. I really loved that chapter. So I'm now 50% through, and we'll see how much I can read. I definitely still have time tonight and a little bit more time tomorrow, so we'll see about that. The cat is super cute right now, all spread out like that. So yeah, I'm just gonna read some more. You can't really see much apart from the cat right now, but this book is ruining me. This book is so weird and it's ruining me. So I don't even know what chapter I'm in. I could find out. I'm in chapter 13. Okay, the cat left. So I'm in chapter 13 right now, and it is the chapter where Daisy and Gatsby meet in Nick's house, and in this version Jordan is actually with them. And so while Gatsby and Daisy are inside, Nick and Jordan are having a little bit of fun in the garden. And it's like a really, really intense sex scene. And I'm not used to reading that. It's not that I mind. It's just that it's not something that usually pops up in the books that I read. And so now they're both quite disheveled. And Jordan says that, it didn't really help to try to fix it. That they should just go into the water so it looks like, they're disheveled because they were in the sea and not because they had a little bit of fun in the garden. And she says, when you can't fix a thing, the best course of action can be to ruin it all so that no one can see what truly happened. And then it goes on. Nick laughed, and I wondered if that was what love was, making someone forget the pain that gnawed at them and would not stop. And I don't know why, but the whole situation just made me cry. And I think that quote is so beautiful. And yeah, I think that's kind of what love is, just having that one person that you want to treat in a way that they, at least for some time, forget the pain that they're in. So yeah, it just really hit me and I wanted to share. I'm sorry. So I have about 50 pages of the ebook left, which is a little bit different than the real book. But we're now at the scene where Daisy and Gatsby want to tell everyone. And I'm really intrigued to see that happen because obviously that's where all the trauma, just explodes. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how that goes. So let's read some more. Okay, I love that sentence. That feeling of disaster that had hung over us all day finally disappeared because the disaster had come. I love that part. It just really reminds me of the feeling of the movie. I think it's put into language so nicely. So we just had the moment where Daisy says to Gatsby, you look so cool. And then it says, in that moment, they were alone together in the dining room, in the mansion, in the state, in the country, in the world. And the rest of us were left to beat our fists on the wall outside. You always look so cool, she said. Yeah, it's just one of the moments I love in the movie, and I think the description is just so fitting. Oh, Tom is so snarky. He is. I think they portrayed him so well in the movie, and I love the actor who plays Tom in the movie, so yeah, but he's not a great guy, let's just say that. Okay, so Daisy just said that she will take Tom's car with Jay and the others should drive with Gatsby's car. And then Jordan thinks everything that happened afterward wasn't worth it to see the look on Tom's face. But everything that had happened up until that point definitely was. His jaw dropped, he turned even redder, and if he had had a cigar, I was sure he would have bitten it right in half. Oh, this is so entertaining. So I finally finished The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo. It took me actually longer than I thought it would. It's not a very long book, so yeah, I'm a little bit shocked. But at the same time, I completely loved this book, and I'm pretty glad that I took my time with it. I think that this is one of these books that really pull you out of your life and give you something magical and splendid to focus on for a while. I decided to give this book 5 stars. I was a little bit unsure whether it would be like a 4.5 or a 5, and I'm still am a little bit, but I think in the long run this will be a book that will stick in my head, that I won't forget, that I will, remember and maybe even reread. I think that this was the right amount of a retelling and its own story, which is a very fine line. It had enough of the original plot and characters to give you that nostalgic feeling, while also adding a lot of new things that still made sense. I think the character that is or felt the more changed to me is Gatsby himself, because in the original we get Nick's perspective, and he's obviously very fond of Gatsby and he really feels for him, while Jordan is more of a skeptic. She doesn't really see the good in Gatsby, and so his portrayal feels very different from the original, but still it makes sense, and it kind of fits together in a way. And then I really, really loved the ending. I talked a little bit about the whole scene where, everything went wrong basically. But then this book goes on a little bit further, exploring what the characters do after. So we do meet Daisy again afterwards, which we don't in the original. And we do also get some more knowledge about Nick and why he is the way he is in the book. And I really loved that aspect actually, because we can all agree that in the original, Nick is kind of a bland character. He's just there to tell the story. He's just there to admire the other characters, so you will admire them too. And I thought the way that this was dealt with in this retelling was very clever, and I just loved it. I just really loved it. This made me so happy, and I'm thinking about watching the movie tonight, which is not the most reasonable choice. We'll see whether that happens, because I actually do have other plans. But yeah, it was so lovely, and I think if you do love the Gatsby movie, this retelling does something very similar. It takes the story, but then it just, I don't know, I don't want to say it modernizes it, because it definitely still feels like a 20s story, as does the movie, but the themes and the messiness of the characters don't feel like you're reading a historical fiction in that way. It kind of shows the connection that these characters that were written 100 years ago still connect with our lives, with our problems. And yeah, I just really like the way that was done, the way, these characters feel not really alive, because, there are some things that aren't just possible in real life, but I feel like, yeah, they just feel messy, and in that sense, they feel real. I don't know, I just really loved it, and as I said, I think if you do like the movie adaptation by Baz Luhrmann, I think you will like this one as well, because it does have some similarities in the way it brings the story to life, I think. Yeah, that I think that's all I'm gonna say for now. I have to work with it in my head a little bit more, and I'll probably talk about it in my June wrap up and have some more coherent thoughts. But for now, I can just tell you that I loved it. And so I will pick my next read. I have two options now, The Other Black Girl, or what's it called with this? I'm so bad with names. The Other Black Girl or Ace of Spades. So we'll see which one I will start next. I'm pretty excited about both of them, so it's a hard choice, but we'll see.
Some thoughts basically that are about the character is struggling with life and she's hospitalized at that same
Okay, so I just finished the first part of The Other Black Girl by Zakiya Dalila Harris, and wow, that was an amazing beginning of the novel. I'm actually quite in shock right now because I literally just finished the first part. In this first part, we follow a girl called Nella, and for a long time she's the only black girl who's working at a publisher. I think it's called Wagner Books, which is actually a German name, which I find quite funny. And so she's working there as an assistant editor, and we start with her perspective when she realizes that there is a new black girl working there, so she's not the only one anymore. And it mainly focuses on this one book that is written by this very famous white author that her boss is currently editing. And Nella feels like that there is kind of a token black character in the story that is dealt with like really poorly. And it's basically about her trying to figure out what to do about it, because her kind of gut feeling is that she doesn't want to address it, but at the same time, it frustrates her so much to see this very poor depiction of a black character, knowing that actual black writers have such a hard time getting their books published. And so yeah, I kind of struggles with that. And as I said, the ending of the first part right now, I got like my heartbeat quickened. I felt so uncomfortable. I think the book really captures that feeling. And I think, you know, one of my biggest like triggers, especially with thrillers and stories like that, is gaslighting. And when people just twist your words in their mouth. No, in your mouth. And just, you know, make up things you haven't even said and then get mad about it. Stuff like that just freaks me out. So this like finale of the first part was like, oh my god. And now I think the second part is actually different characters, because like I just skipped to the first chapter of that second part, and it says now Kendra Ray, and this is set in the 80s. So I think this part now focuses on other characters, and then in the third part we get back to Nella. So I'm really intrigued to see how this structure makes sense, kind of. I'm loving the book right now, which obviously I was hoping, but I gotta be honest, of the 3 books that I decided to read for this vlog, this was the one I felt most unsure about because, yeah, I feel like this is kind of like a crossover of like a contemporary and a thriller. It does read quite easy and fast, and it's just not the kind of book that I usually pick up. So I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but yeah. So far, I am pleasantly surprised and so ready to read more. So last night I read a little bit more of The Other Black Girl. I didn't get that much further, only about 30 pages, but I wanted to give you the quick update that I had it wrong. I thought that in part 2 we wouldn't get Nella's perspective, but we do. We just get other perspectives as well, and I think the other ones, or at least one of the other ones, is set in the 80s. And last night I ended with the chapter when the main character Nella get the first, I don't know if there's more, but she got the note, and it was so creepy. It was so creepy. I was almost afraid I couldn't fall asleep after that, because yeah, the atmosphere was really good. It really reminded me of Get Out. I love the book so far. So I'm having another migraine, but I just finished part 2 of The Other Black Girl, and there's one part left now. I definitely feel that part 1 was much stronger. I feel like now in part 2 it has kind of lost a little bit of the drive. I do have my suspicions what's kind of going on, but yeah, I've also heard some mixed reviews about the ending that yeah, it doesn't really get super interesting until the very end, so we see about that. But yeah, I just feel like I really loved the beginning and the whole setup, and now the second part was just a bit confusing. We get these other characters and it's not really clear how they all relate. And then there's also different timelines in it that I found a bit hard to follow. Like, yeah. So, yeah, I'm intrigued to read part 3 now. But I was hoping that the book would hold its momentum a little bit more in the second part. So I'm almost done with The Other Black Girl. I only have a couple of pages left. I think it's around 15% I still have to read. Last night I finished the third part, and what actually quite surprised me is that we get the explanation for what's going on, kind of, at the beginning of the fourth part, and I didn't really understand why. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how the story progresses now throughout the last couple of chapters. And I hope I can finish it today. We'll see. I'll get reading in a second. But yeah, I was just a bit confused that we get this information so early, because now I'm a little bit like, okay, and what are we gonna get for the rest of the book? Like, obviously there are a couple of things that are like loose threads still, but I thought that this was like the main thing, like the main mystery, kind of. And I mean, it was quite obvious, but not just, you know, all the details. So yeah, I'm a bit confused. I'll talk about more of this book when I've finished it. So I just finished reading The Other Black Girl, and wow, that was an ending. So I do have a couple of thoughts. They're all a little bit mixed up right now. I'm somewhere between a 4 and a 4.5 stars for this book, honestly. I think that the ending really pushed it for me. I think in the end I will settle for 4-star, but I will definitely read the next book that the author puts out, because yeah, I think she can definitely write in a style that I enjoy. Now, the thing is that reading through some Goodreads reviews, I think there are a couple of very valid criticisms of this book. And the first one that I definitely had as well is the points of view. There are definitely too many, and especially one. There is one point of view that you get for one chapter that basically spoils the rest of the book at around the 80% mark. And I did not understand this choice. I do not know why this was done, and someone should have just crossed this whole chapter out, because we didn't need that. I think the ending was really, really thrilling to me. I really liked the kind of atmosphere and, you know, the way that the main character figured it out slowly. But then as a reader, you already knew. So it was still really atmospheric, but it just wasn't the 100% mark that I wanted for the ending. Another thing that I think people are sad about, or at least didn't enjoy, was the ending, that it might feel a little bit unsatisfying. And I totally see that point. I think it's a very, very valid point to make. For me personally, I did not feel that way. I think that looking back at the main character now, I think the ending does make sense. And I think that the kind of journey at the end is described quite well, so that I believe that this is the realistic outcome for that character. Now, if you were rooting for the character, this might still be very disappointing, but I guess I wasn't really. And yeah, so I think the ending totally makes sense, but I do understand people that still say it's not satisfying. I completely get that. I think that the middle of the book isn't the strongest part. I really loved the beginning, the first part, and I did like the end now. But I think the middle is a little bit long and could have been edited down a little bit. And as I said, I would completely scratch out that one chapter, the first chapter of the fourth part, because that just was not smart. But I'm very, very happy. So far, this experiment is going so well. And I have one book left now that I want to read for this. And that is... I forgot the name again. How do I always forget the name of this thing? So the last book I want to read for this is Ace of Spades. So I will probably start this tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. I have a bit of a stressful week, but I hope that Ace of Spades will be the perfect book to pull me through. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for that one, because that's actually the one that this whole idea started with. And yeah, I'll tell you more about that soon. So last night I started reading Ace of Spades. This is a book that I've been highly anticipating. I'm following the author on Twitter, and even so I'm trying not to be on Twitter so much anymore now, because it is a very toxic place. I just kind of really like the author, and I have only heard good things about this book. So I'm so excited to finally read Ace of Spades. And this book is so good so far. I read about 70 pages yesterday, and I really flew through the book. I had such a hard time putting it aside when I had to go to bed. And yeah, it was just, you know, so interesting from the first second. And this basically follows two kids in a private high school, and we follow Devon, I think, and he is kind of a shy guy. He is on a scholarship, so he's not as rich as all the other kids in the school, and so he tries to stay in the background. He also plays the piano, and he just thought that no one ever really notices him in school. And then we have Chiamaka, I believe. And she's like the super popular girl. She is working really, really hard, and basically her whole life in school is fake. She has fake friends who are just to, boost her popularity. She has been dating fake boyfriends and stuff like that. So they're very, very different in the setup. And the thing that connects them is that they're the only two black kids in this private school. And Chiamaka is also from a rich family, or a richer family. So, yeah, they're really, really very different characters. But as I said, they are the only two black kids in that school. And little fun fact, the school is called Niveus. I don't know how you would say it in English, but it's actually a Latin word and it means white, like Snow White, which I thought was fun little hint, because I don't think that it is an accident that the school is called this. And yeah, we basically follow them from the first day of the last school year there before they go on to college. And I think this is a American setting, even though I think the author is British or at least lives in Britain. So I was a bit confused with that because these kind of American high school terms, they don't really tell me much. But basically they have these, what are they called, like prefects or something like that. So these are like people who speak for the other students, I guess, and are model students and stuff. And so at the beginning of the year, it's announced who is like the senior prefects. And Chiamaka is the head prefect, which is something she has been working towards, and nobody's really surprised. But then Devon also becomes one of those prefects, and he doesn't really understand because he's not popular in school, and so he didn't expect that. And on the first day, there is suddenly a person that calls themselves Aces who sends texts with like secrets. And the first secret concerns Devon, and he's basically outed, and he is gay, or at least he likes boys. And he didn't want anyone to know because the neighborhood he comes from, it's not safe to, be out. So huge trigger warning for that. And I don't think it's a spoiler because it literally happens in like the first 2 chapters. And then, probably more secrets will come out as well. There's also another trigger warning for a hit and run. So I wanted to mention that because that was quite an intense scene. And yeah, we'll see how that ties in because I didn't expect that so early. But yeah, we'll see. I'm really intrigued and I can't wait to keep reading that book. So I'm almost a third of the way through Ace of Spades. I am absolutely loving this book, but I don't think that I will be able to talk about it without some spoiler parts. So I will always mark when I talk about spoilers so you can skip ahead. And I'm gonna start right now, so there's gonna be a short spoiler part, so skip this one if you haven't read Ace of Spades yet. I was just like almost crying, honestly, because it was just the scene where Devon's boyfriend breaks up with him because of what's going on, and I don't know. That was just, it was written so well. Like I felt all the feels, and yeah, my heart is still hurting for Devon. It's just so sad. Yeah, so I think this book is so well done. It's like, on the one hand, it feels like just this teen drama show with some mystery and the who is it, who's sending these texts. And then on the other hand, I feel like it still goes deeper. So yeah. One thing that I've noticed now is that something's going on with the memories. Like Chiamaka and Devon both have things that they don't seem to remember. So I guess that this will tie into, everything somehow. But yeah, I'm loving the book. And honestly, I can't even film this update because I don't want to stop reading. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I will just continue and I'll let you know later whether I was right that there's something with the memories going on. Okay, so we finally got the cat. I knew from Twitter that there was a cat character. And yeah, the cat finally showed up, which is awesome. I love cats. I feel like it makes Terrell look a little bit suspicious. I'm not quite sure what his deal is. But yeah, so glad we finally got the cat content. So I just finished part 2 of Ace of Spades and I love this book. I am definitely hooked. I think it is written in a fantastic style where there's really no unnecessary information. Yeah, so far I'm just so intrigued. And I think I have about a third of the book left and I'm just excited to see what comes next because this left off on quite an interesting point, so I will continue reading immediately. And yeah, I'm just so intrigued to see how they will deal with the whole situation now because, yeah, it's definitely scary stuff. So I'm almost done with Ace of Spades and it is so good. I am so excited to finish it tonight. It really is so interesting, and I think it's also quite interesting that you get the kind of reveal what's going on quite early, and now it's all about how to deal with that. And yeah, it's just so thrilling. Like, I can't put the book down. I was so frustrated I couldn't finish it last night, but I had to go to bed because I have an important meeting now. But yeah, it's so good. This book is so good, and I can't wait to tell you all about it when I finished it. Okay, I probably look like a mess because I just did some sweaty workout and yeah, whatever. I just finished Ace of Spades. I will try to pronounce the author's name. Give me a second. I think it's Farida Abike Imide, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I think this is exactly what a YA thriller should be like. I was captured from the first second. I could not put it down. I felt like the stakes were so high, and yeah, even though I think that right at the end it was a little bit predictable, I still loved it. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like, you know, with these kind of thrillers, when they throw in like a little bit at the end to kind of, you know, give you a little epilogue and stuff, sometimes that just kills the mood for me a little bit. Not that I dislike it, but it's just like, you know, all the like crazy stuff's over and then you're just reading like little epilogue stuff. But yeah, apart from that, I was thrilled the whole way through and I really loved it. And I loved so much about it that I can't even put into words yet. I loved how the characters, Giamacca and Devon, were quite, they fit well together. They were complementary, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So you have Devon, who's really into music and who's more of the artsy person. He's from a very poor background. Then we have Giamacca, who's from a kind of richer family. And she's very into science and she wants to be a doctor. And so they don't have these like traditional roles. And again, Giamacca is a very ambitious person. She's definitely a Slytherin, and I love her for it. Like, I want to channel my inner Chiamaka, but I know I don't have it in me, like, enough. But yeah, she's so fierce. She knows what she wants, and she's gonna get it. And then at the same time, I feel like Devon is more like a Hufflepuff, probably. Like, he's kind of a really nice guy. He's very considerate. He is not afraid to show his emotions, and I really like that. And I think what I loved about the ending is that the way it worked out, it needed both of them, basically. And I just liked how they never, I guess, like, how they never put each other above the other one. So they had this very, like, partner level relationship, which you would not expect from the kind of characters they are, but they manage because they respect each other in a way. And yeah, I just really enjoyed that. I really like the dynamic of the two main characters. And as I said, I think the whole thriller aspect is perfection. And I love that we have some LGBT representation, even though I'm not quite sure how Chiamaka identifies. And I don't want to spoil anything, so, you know. But yeah, it was so good. It was so good. So this will end my reading vlog for the June 1st releases that I was most excited about. I read 3 books in this vlog. I read The Chosen and the Beautiful, which I gave 5 stars. I read The Other Black Girl, which I gave 4 stars. And now I read Ace of Spades, which I gave 5 stars as well. So I guess June 1st was like the most amazing release day ever, and also I am quite good at picking books, even though I don't have a lot of reviews for them yet, because that was something I was worried about. Usually I wait until, you know, people I trust do reviews on books before I buy them, and so this was kind of an interesting take to see how well I know the books that I will like. And so I hope you enjoyed watching this. I will talk about these books also in my wrap up for the month. So if you want like more coherent thoughts and not just the jumble that was this vlog, you can watch that. And yeah, just subscribe if you want to see more, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!